Hello, everybody out there watching on YouTube, and welcome to the 27th race of Season 7 of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. I am Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to the Castrol 500 at 8 Bowl Superspeedway as we're getting set for 30 laps of racing at this Figure 8 Superspeedway track that we haven't been to in quite a long time. And this is going to be quite an exciting race, to say the very least. 30 laps, right and left turns. We'll see how it all plays out. Let's get the command to fire engines for the Castrol 500 at 8 Bowl.
Drivers, start your engines.
Everybody on the racetrack now after getting out of the pits as they're doing their one pace lap around here. So yeah, right here is the right-hander of the racetrack for those who are unfamiliar with 8 Bowl Superspeedway. Plus, it's pretty steep banking. So if the big one were to occur in one of these corners, some crazy stuff might happen, needless to say. But anyways, let's look at the rest of the top 10 in the starting lineup, or actually the top 10 in the starting lineup. Cody Lama's actually on the pole for the race, with Ryan Acosta right next to him in second. Row 2 is Joey Parkhill, Zachary Fitzwater. Row 3, Carson Gum, and our winner from last week at Toronto, James Qualls. Row 4, Julia Katrine and Hannah Klein. And then row 5, Melissa Alexander and Henry Sanford. Oh, and we're green. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing. Joey Parkhill leading the first lap here at 8 Bowl, but now has lost the lead as Julia Katrine now takes over the second position. Now, Julia Katrine, as I pointed out before, yeah, this is her only season in this series. She already has a victory, and I'm still trying to remember what race it was. I want to say it was the first Darlington race she won, but regardless, this is her only season she's running. Meanwhile, Cody Lamas, who did start on the pole, now actually gets the lead back and will actually lead this lap. So, the valuable bonus point for second to last in the standings, Cody Lamas. And Dylan Jacobs, who has been closing in on the points lead in the past few races, currently in second. And speaking of that points battle, yeah, Dylan Jacobs, while he lost a spot in the standings, he's still just 3 points out of the points lead to Jay Jefferson, with Matt McIntyre being 2 points back in the second spot in the standings. Meanwhile, Dylan Jacobs getting the race lead with help from Carson Gum in the 19. Now, Carson Gum had a rather bizarre race this past week at Toronto. He was a top 10 contender, and then all of a sudden went a lap down and just could not recover from that moment on. Luckily for Carson Gum, he will be moving to a different team next season, I think. If my memory serves me right, he's going to be in the number 60 car next season for Average Joe Enterprises. So maybe an adjustment by going to a new team. Maybe Carson Gum will find more success in the Marvel Studios Cup Series. Back up at the front is Joshua Sekuli, who for now, this is his final season, but he might be back in a future season. And Sekuli, who is 6th in the standings, has 2 wins to his credit already, trying to go for his 3rd win. Dylan Jacobs trying to get the lead back, and then you got Rafael Leduc still trying to get his 1st win this season to keep his streak going of getting at least 1 win per season ever since the beginning of this series. He's going to stay at the bottom and actually might get the lead here as it's 3 wide for the top spot, and Leduc now goes to the front. If Leduc can keep his car towards the front of the field and make the right moves, he might have a shot at winning this race. But he left the bottom open for the left-hander into turn 1, and Julia Katrine will get back up to the front, and meanwhile, right behind her, 2nd in points, Matt McIntyre. Then 2 cars behind him in the bottom lane, Jay Jefferson, the points leader. And Jay Jefferson took the points lead after Toronto last week, and Jefferson statistics currently 3 wins, tied for the most top 5s of anyone this season at 8, and then tied for most top 10s with an average finish of 16.7. Not the best average finish, but pretty close to that point. But just as I was talking about him, he starts to slip back as Julia Katrine will lead this lap, but Joey Parkhill, who led the first lap, is trying to get back to the front. So every lap we've had a lead change every single time. So yeah, this track is very, very competitive for a super speedway restrictor plate track. And Parkhill was trying to go up to block Matt McIntyre, but as he soon realized, you don't want to leave the next lane open because they will definitely overtake your spot, as Carson Gum now goes back to the front, but can he lead the lap at the stripe? And it looks like he will, so another different leader. So we're about to the levels of Talladega as far as lead changes among different drivers, so to speak. But there will be pit stops at some point in this race. I'm just not too sure when. I do have a feeling it will be past halfway before they would have to pit. So that will be a relief for most drivers. I see 4 wide back here. Can they make 4 wide work? So far, they're making it work. I think they can, because if you look at the wideness of the corners and the straightaways, they are able to make it work, but can they avoid running into one another off of corners? And it looks like, for the most part, they're doing okay, although Dylan Jacobs and Rob Evans were leaning on each other a little bit, as I'm still keeping an eye out on this 4 wide action just to make sure nothing crazy happens, as it is pretty chaotic around mid-pack right now. Oh, and we got a spinner! And I couldn't quite tell who it was. It might have been Johnny Gardner. And the caution is out, and Clint Spillman going to be able to get up to the front now. So Clint Spillman looks like when we cross the line, he will be the leader. But yeah, we just had a 1-car spin. Oh, but we got a second crash! The big one is striking just as they're coming across the line. Hard hits, and oh, Caleb Kilburn upside down. Hard hit for Jessica Sheldon. Zach Rogers was involved. Jesse Turner's bad luck continues as he is messed up. Zach Rogers, Rob Evans, Cole Deaver, Jake Rogers. I saw Melissa Alexander smack the wall a little bit in that mess. But the big one has struck just after Johnny Gardner had spun around, and as they were coming to the line, man, oh man, And Caleb Kilburn, I have a gut feeling he might have hit the end of the pit wall, and that's what caused him to go for a wild ride. But Clint Spillman managed to get up to the front before all that happened, and now he's the race leader. Let's go ahead and take a look at the replay to see what brought the caution out as well as the aftermath here at 8 Bowl. So this was what brought the caution out to begin with. So Johnny Gardner running towards the back of the field, and something's going to happen around him. Oh, Michael Norman, it looked like he tried to get behind Zach Rogers to get in line, but just wasn't quite clear and didn't have enough room. And as a result, gets down into Johnny Gardner, and Gardner goes for the spin. Michael Norman did get the wall a little bit in that mess too. And because they were around numerous cars and coming back on track, NNSCRA had to throw the caution for that. As Gardner only got a little bit of the rear end into the wall, but still looks like he might still be up to speed. Michael Norman, on the other hand, we saw him in the aftermath, and now we're going to try and pinpoint where this bigger crash, the big one's going to happen. I know Melissa Alexander, yeah, right there smacked the wall. Oh, could it have been... Oh, it was Zachary Fitzwater that caused it. Well, let's take a look and see how. From helicopter cam. So they were still 4 wide back here around mid-pack, and it looks like... I don't know if Fitzwater came down or if James Qualls came up, but they end up coming up into Cody Lamas, into Rob Evans and Melissa Alexander, and then everybody just starts sliding into one another, and the wreck just goes on from there. Seth Cole ends up getting turned. Kyle Matthews, I don't know if... Well, he did get a little bit in the end, but it looked like he almost made it through Charles Sanford. And there's Caleb Kilburn's hit. Let's see about Kilburn. Yeah, just as I suspected, into the pit wall, and then hard from both Zach Rogers and Jesse Turner, and Zach Rogers almost went flipping. But yeah, hard hits for Caleb Kilburn. First into the pit wall, and then hit hard by 2 other cars. And then right there you saw it, Michael Norman slam into Jessica Shelton, and Shelton went up in the air in that regard. Watching all this go down, Seth Cole going for his little spin as he spins towards the wall on the inside towards pit road. Cody Lamas getting a big hit from the 99. And let's just see this again. First from Jesse and then from Zach. And Zach, like I said, he almost went over. But Caleb, vicious crash for him. So many cars ended up involved. I think we're bound to probably only have about half the field up to speed. So this is the biggest wreck we've had in this series in quite some time. But man, it was a chaotic one, to say the very least. But as we go back up towards the front, as Clint Spillman led at the line, let's go ahead and take you to the restart here at 8 Bowl. So as a result of that caution, we have 9 cars out of the race, and they include Kyle Matthews, Ricky Carman, Jonathan Zorline, Henry Sanford, and then the bottom 5 will be Jessica Sheldon, Caleb Kilburn, Jesse Turner, Zach Rogers, and Michael Norman. So those 5, unfortunately, will not be given points. So we're down to 31 cars on the track, and they did come to pit road during the caution, so I think they should be good on gas. If not, it'll be very, very close. But Clint Spillman is your race leader still. 2nd, Carson Gum. 3rd, Joshua Cooley. 4th, Jay Jefferson. 5th is Dylan Young. 6th is Cole Baker. 7th, Joey Parkhill. 8th, Hannah Klein. 9th, Rafael Leduc. 10th, Dylan Jacobs. 11th is Artur Castanhat. 12th, Matt McIntyre. 13th, Jordan Forbes. 14th, Ryan Acosta. 15th, is Chris Dollarton. Then the rest of the field is Seth Cole, James Qualls, Julia Katrine, Raphael Fireblade, Benjamin Miles, Johnny Gardner, Cole Deaver, Alyssa Drayson, Zachary Fitzwater, Jake Rogers, James Shelley, Melissa Alexander, Cody Lamas, DJ Curtis, Rob Evans, and Charles Sandford. So that is how the field looks now as we're getting ready to go back to racing with 17 laps to go. Still a good amount of time left for somebody to make some noise to go for a win here. And the green flag is back out. So you see all of the skid marks from the crash we just had. But yeah, Clint Spillman trying to go for his first career win in what might be his only season in the series, or he might come back some other time because he will not be back for season 8. As Carson Gum, who ironically just went by him for the lead, will be taking over that number 60. But regardless, Carson Gum now takes the top spot once again on the racetrack. As you can definitely tell, because of some slower cars, the field got a little bit more spread out. Looks like everybody from 19th on back either just lost the draft because of slower cars or just not up to speed. I don't know, maybe Rafael Fireblade can catch up to the main pack ahead of him. I don't know, it's a bit far-fetched, as he's definitely losing time because he is pretty slow in comparison to guys like Ryan Acosta. So it looks like it's going to be between the top 18 drivers to settle it out for this victory unless something else happens like another caution. But back up at the front, Dylan Young trying to lead a lap, and he will lead at the line, but Rafael Leduc trying to come back and get up there again. Rafael Leduc, like I said earlier, still searching for his first win this season. But next season, he's going to be moving back to a familiar team, even though they're under a different name of Average Joe Enterprises. He's going to be in the returning number 6 car next season, which will be really interesting. Joshua Sakuli back up to the front, as, like I said, he's trying to go for his 3rd win this season. Hannah Klein right behind him, and Hannah, in her only season she's running, trying to go for her 2nd win in hopes of getting into the top 20 in the point standings. And she's going to take the lead here in turns 1 and 2. But look at this, a couple of cars back on the bottom. If I can even get to him. There he is, Jay Jefferson, the points leader, having another good run going, and he's hoping to expand on his points lead and perhaps win this race to go for his 4th win this season. He almost pulled it off last week at Toronto. He was closing in on James Qualls, but just didn't have enough time. Looking for a little bit of redemption in that extent as Dylan Young takes the lead back, but he left that lane open again, the bottom for turn 1, and it's going to be 3 wide for the lead as Joey Parkhill's trying to take it back. 4 wide again back here, but it looks like they're going to settle it out. Good thing. Dylan Jacobs trying to either pass Dylan Young or get in line. It looks like now he's going to let him go a little bit. Hannah Klein back to the inside of turn 3 in the right-hander and is going to take the lead back for herself. When we get across the line, it'll be 12 laps to go. Still got time for anybody in this pack to try and get a win. And how about Seth Cole? I see him able to stay up to speed, and he was involved in the big one. And he did get the inside wall here. Actually, it would be considered the outside wall going into turn 1. But regardless, Seth Cole didn't get really any damage in that, and he's still able to run up to speed and might be able to contend for the win if he can make the right moves. Joshua Sakuli had the lead, but Carson Gum trying to take it back again. Drivers up here in the top 4, at least they were top 4, Sakuli, Klein, Parkhill, and Carson, were swapping the lead quite a good bit for the past couple of laps. Carson Gum going the lead here at the line. and still hang on going into turn 1. When we cross the stripe, it'll be 10 to go. Now, like I said, there was going to be pit stops in this race, and they all did pit under caution around lap 11, lap 12-ish. But you gotta wonder if the fuel window is going to allow them to be able to keep going until the end of the race, because it might be close. Joey Parkhill now takes the lead back as Hannah Klein in second and then Jay Jefferson in third. Jefferson going to try and stick it underneath of Hannah Klein going into turn 1 to get second. And there goes Jefferson, who has Dylan Young behind him. And then how about Jordan Forbes? We haven't talked about him all race long. He's been quietly working his way up through the field. And now here he is in the 4th position. Oh, we're going to have a couple of positions shuffled as Jay Jefferson getting the run with a push from good friend and former teammate and future teammate, Jordan Forbes. They used to be teammates last season, and they will be teammates again next season. Seth Cole, it looks like he lost the pack. Tough break for Seth Cole. He thought he was going to have a shot to win this race. Anyways, Jordan Forbes still searching for his first career win in the Marvel Studios Cup Series in that number 77 Yoshi's car, trying to win this race, and he gets the lead for now and is going to block the inside lane going into turn 3. The right-hander, and it will be 8 laps to go, so the laps are starting to wind down here at 8 Bowl. As far as where we head to for the rest of the season, because after this race we have 9 races left, and those 9 races we got Watkins Glen coming up next time. Then we return to Bristol. Then we return to Atlanta. Then we go to the Denver Oval. Then our second trip to Ontario. Then our first trip ever to Richmond, or at least the first trip in a long time. Then we return to Talladega. Then we head to Lime Rock for the first time in a while. And then the finale at Kansas. A lot of diverse tracks we got coming up as the season starts to close down. Meanwhile, Joshua Sekuli back to the front, and he's got his teammate Matt McIntyre right behind him. And Matt McIntyre trying to get up to the front so he can get a valuable bonus point, which could help him in his championship battles with Dylan Jacobs and Jay Jefferson. Speaking of Dylan Jacobs, let's see where he is. There he is towards the end of the pack, but still within this pack. Looks like Seth Cole. Oh, he's in the pit road. I don't know if this means they have to come back in or not. Oh, this could be a real big game changer for this race. I don't know if Seth Cole was about to run out of gas and maybe the fuel window wasn't as big as I thought it would be. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. And no, they are going to have to come to pit road again. Oh, man. This is going to shake up this whole race big time. More than half of the front pack came in the pit road, and then the other half still out on track with Jay Jefferson leading the race right now. And we'll want to keep an eye out for the exit of pit road, because I've seen it in the past here at this track. Some drivers may not communicate that well when trying to get out of pit road, and another crash could happen, especially if they're all cluttered together. Looks like Dylan Young was the first to come out of pit road of the first big group of cars that came in. Sekuli, it doesn't look like he got a lot done on pit road. Jefferson's still out on track along with Carson Gum. These two, along with Qualls and Acosta, still out on track. So the field's going to get shuffled up big time once all the pit stops conclude. So I have no idea what's going to go down, as meanwhile, yeah, Jefferson hanging on to the front spot for now, but it looks like, yep, he's coming in along with Carson Gum and everyone that hasn't pitted yet, Qualls and Acosta. And I think those were the only four. Or did Matt McIntyre? No, he was in pit road. I thought he had stayed out. So I have no idea who could be the race leader after all this is concluded. Absolutely no idea. It could be Julia Katrine. It could be Matt McIntyre. I have no clue. But Jay Jefferson was able to beat out Carson Gum out of pit road. But I don't know if they're going to be able to stay up at the front or just come very, very close. It looks like they might be able to stay up front as they're getting up to speed pretty quickly. And Matt McIntyre is still a good ways back, so it looks like Jay Jefferson will cycle back around as the race leader. So it looks like unless the drivers behind can group up together and run down the top two, it looks like it might be between Carson Gum and Jay Jefferson. As Carson going to make a move by himself to get the lead back. But I don't know, these drivers from Julia Katrine on back are starting to reel in Jefferson and Gum. So it looks like the battle for the win is not over for a lot of drivers. Benjamin Miles, on the other hand, with no hood, able to run up here in the pack, even though he's about 3 miles per hour off the pace. And then we got another group of cars back here kind of working together to try and reel in this group of cars, but I don't know if they're going to have enough time to get up there. But it will be close, and Jay Jefferson just had to come across the slower car of Charles Sanford as it's now 2 laps to go, and then there's going to be another slow car in the way with Rob Evans. So things are getting interesting as the top 2 got held up, and look at the run Matt McIntyre's got. Parkhill, Sekuli, Dollarton, and Acosta starting to get up here, and they are here in this big group of cars, but can they maneuver around to get up to the front? Carson Gum gets the lead back. Jay Jefferson staying in line behind him, and Dylan Young trying to make some noise. James Qualls even up here, and he's trying to go for 2 wins in a row. Remember, he won at Toronto last week, trying to go for his 2nd win this season. White flag is out. Carson Gum leads. Things are getting dicey up here at the front, especially with slow cars being around. And the top 3 are locked together. Carson, Jefferson, Young. Oh, Jefferson, it looked like he thought about going to the bottom. Now he's going to go to the bottom, and he looks like he timed it perfectly. Jay Jefferson goes by Carson Gum, but Cole Baker's right behind. He might have something. If he can get to the bottom going off of turn 4, he might have a chance, but I don't know. We're coming off of 4 now. Oh, it's going to be close at the line. Baker trying to make it happen, but too late. Checkered flag waves. Jay Jefferson gets his 4th win this season. He wins the Castrol 500 at 8 Bowl. The points leader going to more than likely extend that points lead, and he gets his 4th win this season, which is the record this season for most wins. I don't know if it's the record for the most in a single season of all time, but Jay Jefferson is having a phenomenal season, and it continues as he wins here at 8 Bowl. What a job by that 5 team. Made a great timed pass and made it all work. But let's look at the rest of the results. Cole Baker, if he had made that move a little bit sooner and had a couple cars behind him, he might have had a shot at beating Jefferson at the line. but still, great run in the second spot. Julia Katrine, the highest finishing rookie, in the third position. James Qualls almost followed up his win at Toronto with another win, but still phenomenal points run in fourth. And then Joey Parkhill, great run in the fifth position. Carson Gum, who was a front runner most of the race, still great run in the sixth position. Clint Spillman, solid performance in seventh. Hannah Klein finishing strong in eighth. Chris Dollarton, great run in ninth. And then rounding out the top 10 was Ryan Acosta. Then there is your top 20, your top 30, and then, of course, all the drivers that were out, including the bottom 5 being Jessica Sheldon, Caleb Kilburn, Jesse Turner, Zach Rogers, and Michael Norman, as you're watching Jay Jefferson do his victory burnout. That does it for our coverage here today at 8 Bowl. Next time, like I said, it's going to be Watkins Glen for the Cheez-It Challenge. But until then, here are your results, rookie points, and regular points heading into Watkins Glen. And this is Levi McIntyre, signing off.